Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a story that literally stopped an entire nation in its tracks, the Sheena Bora case. Man, it's easily one of India's most sensational, complex, and just deeply mysterious murder investigations. What started out as a pretty standard missing person report, it slowly morphed into this massive, staggering narrative involving a media power couple and a mother who spent years posing as her own daughter's sister. It was packed with so many hidden identities, deeply buried family drama, and shocking revelations that it felt exactly like a scripted Hollywood thriller, except every single crazy detail of it was completely real.
Okay, let's dive into this. How well do you really know the people closest to you? It's kind of an uncomfortable universal fear, isn't it? The idea that these dark histories and massive secrets might literally be sitting right across from us at the dinner table? Well, this specific case forces us to confront that exact psychological fear head-on. Because, as we're going to see throughout this explainer, the surface rarely tells the whole story.
So let's set the scene. Picture Sheena Bora. She's a young, super ambitious executive just going about her everyday life in the bustling city of Mumbai. She's actively chasing her goals, building her future, and she's surrounded by a solid network of friends, colleagues, and people who genuinely care about her. Honestly, it sounds like a perfectly ordinary, relatable life, right? But then, completely out of nowhere, she just vanishes from public view. Chapter 1. An Ordinary Disappearance. Now, what's really interesting here is the stark contrast. When Sheena first vanished, the public explanation was incredibly neat. Almost too neat. The story was she'd simply moved to the US to start a fresh chapter, and she supposedly even sent a resignation text to her boss. And for a while, a lot of folks just accepted that, no questions asked. But as the years rolled by, the people who actually knew her best, like her fiancé, started realizing that the pieces just weren't fitting together. That whole surface story was nothing more than a carefully constructed facade.
Let's see how this builds over time, because it definitely wasn't an overnight revelation. That accepted, public story held strong for a full year. But by year 2, those nagging doubts started gaining some serious momentum. And that directly culminated in year 3, when the police got a crucial anonymous tip and ended up discovering skeletal remains in a nearby forest. It's that incredibly slow, agonizing progression from a mundane missing person case into a full-blown major criminal investigation that makes the timeline here so unbelievably chilling.
Chapter 2. Uncovering the Hidden Truths.
At this point, investigators had to go back to the absolute basics of old-school police work. We're talking meticulously gathering overlooked evidence, aggressively interviewing witnesses, like a former driver who finally decided to break his silence, and painstakingly reconstructing these broken timelines. They weren't just looking for a missing person anymore, They were unraveling something absolutely unprecedented.
So the crucial point is what they actually found at the end of all that digging. It was a staggering web of deception. And we aren't just talking about a single simple lie here. Investigators dropped the massive bombshell that Sheena's sister, Indrani Mukherjee, she was actually her mother. It was this insane network of deeply hidden histories and shockingly complicated family connections that were designed entirely to obscure the real truth.
Human psychology naturally craves clear, straightforward explanations. We want things to make sense, but the truth here was buried under massive competing layers. Investigators first had to pierce through completely conflicting narratives, which were basically disguising deeply hidden personal histories, all of which masked an unbelievably complex web of relationships. Literally, every single one of these layers had to be dismantled before anyone could see what was actually happening beneath the surface.
Chapter 3. A National Media Obsession.
Man, the news cycle practically exploded when this broke. Because this case, it was an absolute powder keg of human intrigue. It literally had everything. We're talking intense mystery, high society, family conflict involving powerful media executives like Peter Mukherjee, undeniable power dynamics, dark secrecy, and raw emotional drama. News channels were hosting relentless, around-the-clock debates because this story managed to combine every single irresistible element into one sprawling narrative.
For the public, consuming this story was, it was literally like watching a suspense thriller unfold in real time. Every single new arrest, every fresh court hearing, it introduced information that completely shattered what we thought we knew just the day before. You honestly couldn't look away because the fundamental truth just kept shifting right under your feet.
Chapter 4. The Universal Fear of Secrets.
And this brilliantly illustrates a much broader point. Stepping back from the actual investigation for a second, this case taps into a profound anxiety that appearances can be completely misleading. Think about it.
People present these highly curated versions of themselves to the world, right? Wealth, success, the picture-perfect family. But just beneath that polished surface, devastating secrets and massive conflicts can be hiding right in plain sight. It's a stark reminder that we really only see what people choose to show us.
And because of that intense underlying complexity, true crime fans and analysts continue to fiercely debate this case even today. The arguments generally fall into 4 key buckets: the true motives behind the murder, the pivotal decisions made by these family elites, the exact nature of those incredibly tangled romantic and familial relationships, and ultimately where the true responsibility lies. It's crazy, but different observers still look at the exact same evidence and walk away with entirely different interpretations.
If there's one really profound lesson we can extract from this massive deception, it's that truth takes time. When elite secrecy and conflicting narratives are standing in the way, transparency is basically our only defense. This case is such a powerful reminder that when lies are buried for long periods of time, they don't just magically fade away. No, they grow infinitely more destructive.
Which leaves us with a pretty heavy, lingering question. How many hidden secrets can exist beneath the surface of an apparently normal life before they finally come to light? Sometimes the most shocking mysteries aren't found in distant, unfamiliar places. They're sitting right inside the relationships we think we understand best. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time as we unravel another complex story.